Original statement, whose pupil are you? That's what you have to be able to answer. Mathetes, or another definition, is manthano. An important aspect of the disciple is that he or she is one who must count the cost. Now let's go to another scripture. This will be our second scripture that we're going to go to. Luke chapter 9, verse 23. Luke chapter 9, verse 23. He must count the cost. Very, 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 very important. Because if you haven't counted the cost of being what a disciple is, there's something wrong. Look what Jesus says. And he was saying to them all, if anyone wishes to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Jesus says that you've got to deny yourself. Count the cost. If you're going to be a Christian, it's more than just going to church, singing in a choir, working as an usher, doing the Bible study. Count the cost. It's going to cost you something. It's going to cost you something. It cost the first century Christians something. Most of the first century Christians, basically it cost them their lives. It cost them their lives. You say, oh, well, God would never call me to give up my life for something like that, would he? Would he now? There are Christians in China, there are Christians in Africa, Christians in many third world countries that have given up their lives because government authorities have found tapes like these. And just think about that. Somebody finds a tape like this talking about Christianity and say, where's John Coleman? I say, oh man, you know it's me. Before I got the me out of my mouth, my brains would be all over the wall. Count the cost. That's what Jesus is saying. If anyone wishes, Jesus says, to come after me. In other words, oh, you know what it's going to take? If you come into heaven, ooh, Jesus gets real with it, doesn't he? He says, oh, you want to get to heaven. You want to be with me. You want to get to heaven so you can have a lot of fun. Look what he says. Let him deny himself. So therefore, the implication is that when you become a Christian, it's not about you anymore. It's about him. Let him deny himself. Take up his cross daily. In other words, every day, Pastor John, there's going to be some tension. Every day. Man, you hear that phone going off over there? Mercy. Every day, there's going to be some dilemma. Every day there's, and then he says, and follow me. You notice he didn't say follow me? You don't follow your disciple, or you follow him. Because if you listen to me, I'm going to tell you to follow him. See, I like jazz. I love some good jazz, and you may be a believer and you may think that it's sinful for me to listen to jazz. Well, you know what? You're not supposed to follow me. You're supposed to be following Christ. Because Christ hasn't told me that there's anything wrong with listening to jazz. Now, my mentor didn't even allow me to listen to rock and roll and nothing like that. He thought that was all sinful. I have the Motown collection, and I'm loving it. Man, I got sunshine on a cloudy day when it's cold outside. What you got, John? I got the month of May. That's what I think about when I think about my wife, Lucy. One of the greatest love songs that was ever written. My girl. Yay! You know what she sings about me? When thing to do, my guy. Talking about John, right? But anyhow, let me get back to it. Let me stop jiving. Count the cost. Stay in Luke. Look at Luke chapter 14, verses 25 through 35. Those are the other fill-in scriptures. Luke chapter 14, verses 25 through 35. I'm going to read them to you. It reads like this. Now great multitudes were going along with him, that is Jesus. Great multitudes. They were, my ear itches. Great multitudes were following Jesus. And he turned and said to them, in other words, you're going to see all these crowds now, man, just crowding around the man. Oh, man, we with the man. He the man, he the man, he the man, he the man. Yeah, right. The man turned. And he began to look at him. Check out what he said. And I love these verses right here. He says, if anyone comes to me, you reading it? He said, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his own father and his mother and his wife and his children and his brothers and sisters, yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. You hear me? If he don't hate everything else, Jesus is saying, give it up. He can't be. He can't be. He can't be. He can't be my disciple. Can't be. Now, wait a minute, not finished. Let's keep reading. Verse 28. For which one of you, when he wants to build a tower, does not first sit down and calculate the cost and see if he has enough to complete it? See, that's using some rationale, isn't it? He says, if you're going to build a tower, won't you first sit down and see whether you got enough ducats or dollars to build it? Then he says, otherwise, when he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that observes it will begin to ridicule him. Have you ever seen anybody dug a hole to build a foundation of a house or a building? Right now, they're supposed to be building a church in our community, if you can call it that. All they've done was they haven't even gotten the foundation down there right after a year and talking about their building. Well, they're lying. But anyhow, people will ridicule it. You see, you have to count the costs. You never start building something unless you have the cost. He says, otherwise, when you lay the foundation and it's not able to finish, others will ridicule him. Verse 30. Saying that this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king is when he sets out to meet another king in battle will not first sit down and take counsel whether he is strong enough with his 10,000 men to encounter the one coming against him with 20,000 men. In other words, that make a lot of sense. You want to make sure that you got enough people to fight. Or else, while the other one is still far away, he sends a delegation and asks for terms of peace. So, therefore, no one of you, boy, look what Jesus says right here. I love this. No one of you can be my disciple. In other words, see, man, this thing isn't based upon whether you want. Well, I'm coming up today and I'm going to take the preacher's hand and I'm going to give my rotten, dirty, filthy, no good heart to Jesus. Or is that the way you did that? That's what you think this thing is all about. You've decided to give your heart to him. Now I think that you better read this. And I think Jesus puts it right on the line here. And it makes it very, very, very practical here. Don't you see what he said? Once he starts speaking like this in Luke 14:25, you see what he says. He says, no one can be my disciple in verse 33 who does not give up all of his own possessions. All of his own possessions.